Okay, in this final video, I'm going to show you how to create a new level that's going to be an extension of character, like the Space Invader one was. Um, it's going to use square blocks. It's going to have a little bit of movement and a bit of logic to bounce set blocks down the screen and then move them back up the screen and down the screen and up the screen and down the screen till you clear the level. Um, this will also show you how to add a new file, level file to the HTML code to make sure it gets loaded and everything as well. Okay, so I've still got the Space Meadow walking along. Let's go back to Notepad and let's start off. I'm gonna in Notepad. I'm highlighting the level folder and I'm gonna then go up to File and say New. Um, and by default, it just gives you the name New. So I'm going to save this straight away. I'm going to put something in it. So I'm going to call this bouncer. So I'm going to say class. If I type, it'll help. If I say class bouncer extends and it's called character. Double check that by going to character. Yes, it's character, and it's got to be the same case. Okay, so there's my new file. So I'll just double check that. Create a brace. Close the brace off. See the highlights, you always know that you've got the matching pair there. Okay, right, so let's get this saved. So if we click on save now, it'll ask us for a name in it. Hopefully it's in levels, which it is. So I'm going to call this the same name as the class. So I'm calling it bouncer, but I'm going to make sure I put .js and then Notepad++ knows it's a JavaScript file. And it color codes it and changes the font and everything for us. So instead of it being text, it knows it's program code. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do is we've got to set up the constructor for the class. So this is the thing we call. So we're going to say constructor, and it's going to need some parameters. So I want it to be moderately flexible. So I've got to accept screen and bricks because all the levels accept screen information and the bricks. And I want a time delay. I don't want any other parameters. I could do. I could add them as different parameters. Yeah, let's add a what should we call it? Top limit, bottom limit. So the top limit's going to be where the bricks move up to before they start coming down again, and the bottom limit's going to be the distance from the bottom of the screen before they start moving back up again. So bottom limit, top limit, and let's have speed. So how fast they move. So that's going to be a mixture of the time and the number of pixels. So pixel step, I'm going to call it. Right, so I've added some parameters, and then I can make a few different levels using the same bouncing code um, to configure it without having to keep creating more levels. So I open curly brace, close curly brace, put some stuff in. So I must make sure I pass on to my inherited constructor the screen, the number of bricks, and the time delay. They're the three things that character needed, that it needed to pass on itself. Right, okay, I'm going to create a color set for this. I'm going to do a stupid well, not a rainbow, but a rainbow chevron of some description. So I'm going to create a color set for this. And remember that is just an array of text named colors. So I'm creating this structure. So you can see I've made an array which is square brackets. I've left some blank lines, and then I'm going to put the colors in double quotes. So I've got black. Remember, the first color is going to be ignored anyway. So I don't want, in a rainbow, I don't want black, so it doesn't really matter. Then I want red. Then I want orange. Then I want yellow. Then I want lime, which is like a sort of bright green. Blue. Then I want indigo. That's how you spell it. If you screw any of the color names up, you can just look on the internet for HTML color names. There's all the names of all the colors have got a name. But yeah, if you screw them up, then I think they'll come out as black because it doesn't recognize that the default is to go for black. But there you go. Right, okay. So we're going to move down a certain amount, and that's going to be our pixel set. So we're going to store that because we'll need to keep changing that, and you'll see the logic of that. We're going to call that direction. So we're going to say pixel step. I'll put minus when I meant equals. Right, so we're just storing that. Okay. All right, so the next thing is to define my rainbow brick pattern. So because I'm doing a character one, I'm going to create an array. So I'm just doing this above the constructor, but I'm still inside the class. So again, it's an array, but this is a 2D array. So we put that structure together, and then each line of the rainbow is an array, just like we did with the Space Invader one, and the X and the A. Okay, so I'm just going to put a load of, I'm going to make it smaller like I did with the Spaceman. I'm going to make them square. So I'm going to do, what have I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll have 6 of those, and then I'll have 4 red bricks. And I want it to be symmetrical. Oops, is that symmetrical? Yeah, it looks that. Okay, so I'm then going to copy that, and I'm going to have, I don't know, 10 rows. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you notice, I've got my cursor at the left-hand edge. If you hold down Shift and do the down arrow, you'll select an entire line. So when you copy that, wherever the cursor is, it will paste an entire line in. That's a quick way to get used to doing things like that. Right, so I want the next line down to be color 2. Now, if you notice the cursor's changed back. If I press the insert key, I can overwrite, so I don't have to delete. Then I'm going to, so I've now got insert on, and I think if you look down here, it says OVR, that's overtype. So when I press the insert key, it goes to insert mode, which is the normal way that we type text. So wherever the cursor is, it pushes everything along to the right. So if I was to do it here, it just pushes it along. But if you're in overtype mode, which is what the insert key does, it overwrites without moving anything. Okay, so that's quite handy when you're doing blocks of data. But you've got to remember you've got it on. So if you ever have anything weird, just look down here, because keyboards don't highlight or anything like that. They used to have a light for that. But yeah, so insert mode is general. Press the insert key to toggle insert and overtype mode. So I'm going for overtype mode here because it makes it easier. So the next line down is going to be color 4. So I'm just, oops, press 5. Then I'm going to go for color 5. Just move the cursor out of the way. So this is from years of assembly language programming, messing about with the keyboard like this. So I'm now going to do color 6. So I'm pressing 6 and I'm pressing the right arrow, and you can get a real good rhythm going when you do this. They all want to be noughts. I'm not doing a rainbow shape because I can't bother to work out the curvy part. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to, on the next line, either side, I'm going to drop down. So I'm going to go, right, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to drop it down again. I'm going to go 1. So what I'm doing is I'm using the cursor keys. I'm going down and left, down and left, down and left. So I'm pressing my number. So I want 1, down, left, 2, down, left, 3 down, left, 4 down, left, 5 down, left. So I'm just running along the keyboard digits while I'm flickering the cursor keys. It's one of those things that you can start doing quick if you think about it. Oops, started with the wrong number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I've got to do the same on the other side. So 1. You don't have to have this stupid pattern if you want to do a unicorn. You're quite happy to do a unicorn. That's your choice, or donut, or Homer Simpson, or whatever. That's why we did the little flexible layout tool, so that we could do square pixels and do interesting things. Just look for sprite art if you want something to copy. And then finally, I did get it symmetrical. That was a good guess. Right, okay, so I've got my little rainbow set up. I could add more detail if I wanted to. And then the final bit I need to do in the constructor is to set up the layout. So I've got to do that perform custom layout. If I can type. Make sure you spell it right, because you know now from the videos that if it's not, let me put some blank lines so I can move it up a bit. If it's not spelled right, JavaScript just go, oh, whatever, matey, you cocked it up, we'll just keep going and drop you right in it. Okay, so we're going to go this.rainbow, and on the next line down, we're going to put the next parameter, which we know is a vector2. Right, so that's going to be our offset. So I'm going to go 50 in from the left-hand edge, but this time I'm going to do minus 275 for the top margin. So I'm going to make them appear off screen, so they'll come onto screen the first time through. Okay, so that was my margins, my positioning. So remember, the margin is where the top left-hand brick is going to be. So that would be that brick, which isn't a brick in this case. But yeah, that's the layout principle of it. Right, so we want the spacing. So if we're going to go with the same scale as the Space Invader one. So the spacing I'm going to make 26 by 26. The next value is the scalar, so we can use the Space Invader scale, which was 50% and 125%. You've got to get used to doing percentages and decimals when you're programming, because it's standard, and we want them to display. Okay, right, so we've created that. We haven't written any code to move it around, but we can, in fact, if we just make that just 75 for now, so it appears on screen and we can test it works. So we'll just change the margin to that. Remember, if you want to, put some comments in so you know what these things are. Oops. Undo. Yeah, so you can remember what they are. So that's the spacing, and then the last one was the scaling. Yeah, so you can remember what they are. Right, as it is, it will not work because we actually need to alter our level data now. So I'll make sure I save that. Okay, I'm going to load up level data. Oops. And I'm going to add a new level. So I've already got 15 levels in here, so I'm going to say case. So remember, this is in level data in the generate level function. So I'm going to say case level 16 is going to be this new one, and we're just going to copy the same structure. So active level equals new, and we called it, oh, what did we just call that? Drop bouncer, wasn't it? Bouncer, yeah, bouncer, lowercase. So back to level data. So we said new bouncer, and we have to send screen and active brick. Right, so the other bits of information we had in bouncer were time delay. So I want this to be smooth, so I'm going to put that to 50th of a second, so 2 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds, sorry. Top limit is going to be my upper bounce position, bottom limit's going to be my bottom, and pixel step's going to be how far to move each time we need to move all the characters. Okay, so we've got, now what I sometimes do when I'm working like this is I might just for the moment, copy that line, go back to level data, just so I don't have to keep flicking screens. And just on the next line below, this I'm not expecting this to be legal or anything. I'm just going to put a comment and paste, so I don't have to keep flicking back. So right, so time delay. So I want 0.02. So that's 20 milliseconds, as fast as I can get the timers to work in raw JavaScript. The top limit, well, I'm going to make that so it nearly gets to the top of the screen, so 10. The bottom limit, the screen is, I think, is 600, so I'm going to make that about 400, so it's a little bit above the paddle. And again, I can play about with these numbers. And the amount, the pixel step, I'm going to make 1. So every time the timer activates, it's going to move 1 pixel down the screen. So that'll be nice, smooth scrolling. Okay, and then I'm going to put a break command. Okay, so that's a little bit of a tip. And then when you come to look at it again, you can look at it and you can say, oh, what were these parameters again? And you go, all right, I can see what the parameters are. Right, the other thing we've got to do, we've got 16 levels now. I want to force it. So I've still got overtype on here. Press the insert key. Change it so the level number that it picks is always 16. Remember, we're going to comment that out when we play the game properly. But while we're developing, we've said, well, let's make level 16 appear. The other thing we need to do is we need to tell the game that there are now 16 levels in total, so that when it gets to the end of that level, it knows the game's finished. Okay, right. Okay, let's save that. Now, the thing we've got to do, we've got to tell the browser to load the JavaScript code that we just created. So if we go to breakout page.html, this is where all the code's loaded. You can see there's loads of script commands. Now, we're using character, so we have to put our code loaded after character. So if we copy the line with character.js on it, so I'm just going to copy it. Now I've copied the whole line, so I went to the left-hand edge, I've done Shift, and then I've pressed the down arrow, which copies the entire line. If I now copy it using Control-C, and then just paste it, so we've got character. And then we just need to make sure we change this to bouncer.js. So double check what you called it, bouncer.js, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to save the breakout HTML page. So you'll know if you've saved everything because these little save icons will go grey. Okay. And you can always click the save all to make sure you save anything that might have been edited. So we've created the script just to display it on screen. We've modified breakout page.html to make sure that the new level code is loaded, and we've altered level data so that we've added a new level, so we've updated the what is the last level number, but we've also told it to pick this new level 16, and we've added the case for level 16. Okay, and we've put the parameters. Well, let's see if it works. So if we go back to our invader and just run it, I've still got the debugger open. Oh, it didn't work. Vector is not defined. Oh, let's have a look. I've done so much. I'll put vector and not vector 2. Right, let's go back. Easy mistake to make. Yeah, so I'll put vector. Like I say, if you're doing Visual Studio Code, it will know that you've got something called vector 2. Okay, so save that. And that's, see, probably a good idea to always have the debugger open so you catch errors right at the start like that. Mercy. Ah, there you go. Oh, I meant it to be upside down. I don't know why. Oh, it's rainbow shaped, you can see. And again, the demo goes off playing it. So yeah, that looks all right. The colours look reasonably rainbowy coloured. Remember, if you did want black, I put that as the first colour. All I've got to do is alter one of these other colours to be black. It's just colour 0. It doesn't have to be black. Could have been grey. Colour 0 just gets ignored. It's the one that's used to leave a space. Okay. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change. Command Notepad++. I'm going to change the background colour because I've not really shown you how to do that. So on this one, I want it to be like a blue sky, a light blue. So one thing that we can do is we can use a little bit of CSS to say this dot. We've got access to the screen object, so we can say this dot screen, and we're changing CSS in program code, and it's style dot background color, which because it knows we're doing JavaScript, it knows about CSS in Notepad++. So it's quite good. So it's background color. You've got to get the case, the spelling, and it's American spellings for color. Right, so we're going to have, I think it's called light blue. We'll find out in a minute. So let's just save that. So you look up the HTML colors. If I get this wrong, I'll just quickly look it up. Let's see what happens. No, it's not light blue. Right, let's just do a quick HTML colors. Color names, that's it. W3 schools. Aquamarine we're going to have. Aqua, I can spell that. I can remember it as well, which is another key thing. Aquamarine. Aquamarine. Right, back to Chrome. Get rid of that. Refresh. Start the level. That's a bit better. Bit garish, but it's bordering on cyan, which is one of the hatedest colours in the world. I've still got the don't kill the bricks, don't kill the ball code running. How the ball's gonna got stuck inside bricks there. But yeah, oh no, it's a bit. Oh, I don't mind. For this purpose of this video, it's all right. All right, okay. I'm just gonna comment out so we get a black screen because it's hideous. Right, okay. So what we're then gonna do we're gonna set up our action code. So we do that just after the constructor, and we can say action accept the delta value. Just scroll up, put a couple of braces in to open and close this section. Right, we're not actually going to use the delta value, but what we're going to do is what we want to do is we want to move all the bricks down. But if we hit the bottom, we want to start moving the bricks up, but we don't want to do that until we've moved all the bricks down. Otherwise, it'll all go weird. So we need to keep track of, did we hit the bottom or the top? And we're going to use a Boolean variable for that, and we're going to call it change. We'll just call it change. And we'll set it to false to start with. Okay, we can say, right, okay, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't made a change yet. Right, then we're going to process all the bricks in the level, and we'll do the standard array processing loop. So we're going to have an index of 0, start at 0, and we're going to work along all the bricks in this level. So in the array called bricks, we're going to process every single one, and we're going to move to a new one at the end of each loop. Okay. Right, so I'll put a couple of braces in. Right, so what I'm going to do, I've got this direction. Okay, so I'm going to say for the current brick, so that's this dot bricks, oops, I'm going to say move, just the same thing that we used on the space invaders. Right, I'm not going to move horizontally, so I'm going to put 0 for that. But then I want to do this dot direction. So whatever was in direction, that's what I'm going to move by. Okay. Again, we're going to do this in steps and test. So let's just get rid of some of these blank lines. Right, so I'm going to save that, and I'm going to test my code to see if at least it moves. So let's reset that, start the game. Nice black background now. Hey, and it moves. But we want it to, when it gets upside down, we want it to go back up. Okay, so let's have a look at how we're going to achieve that. So we need to do a test. You say, right, okay, have you got to the bottom? Is any of these bricks at the bottom? So we're going to say if, so this is after we've moved a brick. So we're going to say bricks. Oh, make sure you put this dot bricks. If you don't put this, it looks for a global variable called bricks, which actually would find, but we're not looking at that. Right, so we want to see if the bottom of the brick has got greater than, now we had a value for this that we got given, bottom limit. So if that's greater than bottom limit, but only when we're moving down. Now when we're moving down, the direction value is positive because 0 is the top of the screen and 600 is the bottom. So if we want to move down, it's going to be a positive number. So we're just going to do a check. So we're going to say, and this dot direction is greater than 0, which means positive. So if that is true, what we need to do is say, right, oh, hang on a minute, we've reached the bottom. So we're going to say change equals true. Okay. Right. After we've moved all the bricks, which is the end of this loop, and I can put a little comment here, and I can say all, well, I'll do it on the next line. All bricks now moved. Check for direction change. So I'm just putting a little comment in there, so I remember what this next bit of code is going to do. Right. So if this change value is true, so we can put an if. We don't have to say change equals true, although that's valid legal code. Because it's a Boolean value, you can just say if change. So if change is true, then we're going to do the next line of code. So put it in braces in case we need to add any extra later on. So a nice standard way of changing, we want direction to be a negative number. We don't want to change the value, but we want it to be negative. When it gets to the top, we'll also want it to change. If it was negative, make it positive. So one standard way of doing this is to multiply by -1. Okay, so we say this direction times equals -1. So what that actually means, it's short for this. But because we're programmers, we don't want to write that. Okay, so we're saying look at whatever direction is, multiply it by -1 and save it in direction. But programmers, they go, oh, give us a short way of writing that. And you might think, oh, it's because the program's lazy. It's because no, because programmers make mistakes and we want to minimize the number of mistakes. Okay, so let's see what happens. So we've got a check here. We've moved the brick, and then we're saying, well, has it got as this brick got to the bottom? If it has, let's set this change value to true. It's the only place where it's set to true. So if this doesn't happen, this code will never happen. Okay, right. Let's just go back. So I've saved it. Go back to Chrome, refresh. Let's start the game. Remember, I've got the things disabled. Oh, quarter reference. Bottom limit is not defined. Interesting. Right. So interesting there. Great bug. I love great bugs. Right, bottom limit is not defined. Oh, it's because I didn't save bottom and top limit. Oh, I need to save those. You've got to be careful with that. They existed as parameters, but they stop existing here, which is why we need to save them. So let's make sure we save bottom limit. I'm going to call it bot limit equals bottom limit. So I'm just copying the value into a variable that I can access later on and call it top limit equals top limit. I just wanted it shorter. Okay, so yeah, you got to make sure that's a good error to come up. Okay, because I was just dozily going on. Right, so I've got to put this dot bot limit. I'd already done it with the pixel step, so it's a bit silly of me not to think about that. Right, okay, so let's save that again. So anytime you want some parameters that you need to save, make sure you get them stored in it and put this dot, and that makes them a um, a member of this class. Okay, so let's just go back. I like the way that one brick just went on its own sweet way though. That's quite good. Okay, let's run. That's a bit better. Don't worry about what the oh, and then they go back up. They didn't go back. They didn't. Let's start the game again. They didn't come down very far. I might have to change that number. Well, no, that's not very far at all. Right. So let's go back. Remember that was set in the level data. So we said 400. So let's make that 500 then. And again, I'm not moving on until I've got this bit right. So let's refresh. So I made sure I saved it. Maybe I did that a bit quick. Let's see how far down it comes. I want it near the puddle, so it makes it a bit tricky. Yeah, that's a bit better. And then it goes up the screen and then goes off forever. Right, okay, that's because we haven't got any logic about going up the screen. So let's go back to our bouncer code. So we've got here, we've said, let's just make that separate. We said if the direction is positive down the screen and we reach the bottom, then change. But actually, if we've got another condition, and I'm going to do this by putting an OR, which is the shift and the symbol to the left of Z. It's called the pipe symbol from Unix. Unix was a thing. Linux caused Unix to sort of die a death, but it basically copied of it, open source version. Right, so we've got OR, and then what I'm going to do on the next line down, I'm going to put my other condition. So I'm saying either this condition's true or this other condition's true. So I'm going to say, right, okay, let's check for the top. So if bricks I dot top is less than, what did I call it? Top limit. Yeah, it's up there. This dot top limit and this dot direction is less than naught, i.e. we're going back up the screen. So you mustn't check for the top limit when we're going down the screen because they're all below that, and it'll just constantly change the direction, which will just make them flicker really quick and not move much. So yeah, we're just doing that. So we've got two conditions. It's what we call a compound condition. So we've got if this part is true, so this is an and, so both of these have got to be true, or if this and this is true. So we're saying, right, okay, if we're moving down, have we at the bottom, or if we're moving up, have we at the top? And that should be all we got to do. Let's save that, refresh, play the game. And then I need to take the debug values off so the game works properly. Right, so hopefully it's going to go back up, and hopefully, you can see the ball stuck now, it's going to come back down. I like it. Right, let's just wrap up and recap. So we created a new file. I made sure I put it in levels because I'm trying to keep everything separate so it makes it easy. Set up my parameters. Remember, screen and bricks you've got to have. And I put some more parameters in to make it flexible so I can make a few different rainbow levels. So I alter the time and the amount of distance. You can make it really hard by making them come right down the screen so there's not much bounce room between the bat and the bricks. That'd be hard. I made the pixel step so I can make it faster if I wanted to, but I can change that with the time delay and it's like a combination of the two. Really. I could do it a different way actually, but if you want to look, send me a comment if anyone wants to know how to do it all pixels per second using this delta value, but I've made it like I have at the minute. So we could change that, and I'll do a video if anyone's that interested in doing that. Yeah, so we set our colors up. Let's put our. I don't really want that. Let's have a look at color set again. HTML color. Go on W3 squirrels. I want. That's a better one. What color is that? Oh, it hasn't got a name for that. Oh, wow. Where's the other one? Color name. Oh, names. Right, so let's pick a nice one. Oh, come cadet blue. Let's have cadet blue. So take my comment off. Only because I can spell cadet blue. That's why I picked that one. If you come and do A level with me, you'll realise that I'm not very good at spelling. It's not one of my strengths. Neither is my memory. But there you go. Right, let's just see what that looks like, and then I'll finish off the recap. So let's get rid of that. Refresh. Oh, much more subtle. Much more subtle. Oh, it's going down the screen at the same speed as demo. It's interesting. Right, okay, so let's just finish that recap. We made sure we saved the parameters that we needed later on by saying this dot and then giving a name for. We could have called those anything we wanted. We used the custom layout code to set the bricks up, and then we added the action code, which is a few different things, quite nice and complicated. Keeps track on whether an event's happened by setting up a boolean, what we traditionally call a flag. So we raise the flag when we make it true, and then we check for that flag at the end to see whether we do something. A bit like how bubble sort works using flags, the swap value. Update the position and then do a check to see whether we've hit either the bottom or top, depending on what direction we're moving. We added code to level data, which I can't find, so let's just load it. In the generate level routine, so we have a case for it. Make sure we finish with break. Just copy what's there, put our parameters in, and to help us in the future, we copied the constructor line for bouncer and put a comment in front of it so we can see what all the parameters were. Probably a good idea. Should have done it with all the others, but hey, that's how it works with me. I forced the game to pick level 16, but I also made sure I updated the last level to say that there are 16 levels now. And then the other thing I must make sure I do, and you'll get an error in Chrome anyway, I must make sure that what I do is I add the code to the script loading. Okay, so just make sure it's in there. And it was using character, so I put it after character was loaded. You'll see that level set's right at the top there because that's the one that all these levels use. So they all appear after that. And that's it. So please, when you submit things for the assignment, what I need you to submit is these JS files. You can submit the HTML one as well. You shouldn't really need to change the CS, but any of the JS files that you've had to change or add new ones of, like the bouncer one I've just created, that's what you need to submit to me. And then what I'll do is I'll collate them together and make a mega game. I might try and make the collision detection a bit more accurate as well, but we'll see. But so that's an ongoing thing. Please submit them and I'll check them out. Let's just have a look at the glory of the level. I'm just going to see if I can play it actually. So I'm going to go back to level data, no, game code, and I'm going to change kill bricks to true, and I'm going to kill ball to true. Let's see if I can actually play this level that I've fixed. Right, so I've saved that. Nothing unsaved. Let's play away. Right, refresh. Let's start the game. Right, here we go. Ooh, yeah, if you could make that really quite evil, if you make it come really low. Depends how you set up. Oh, blimey. Depends. Whenever you get multi-balls, you've always got to make sure you're at least chasing one ball. Otherwise, you'll lose them all. Oh, no. So there's nothing to stop you doing similar things horizontally or whatever. Oh, I'm good at my own game. I haven't lost a life yet. You can make it harder by making it move faster. Um, yeah, some of the collisions are a bit iffy now and again, so I might have a look, see if I can do an advance. If I do, I'll post the update to the collision code for that. It's only I think it's only one. There's one routine that does that, so it wouldn't be too much of a trick to place it. Let's get that on the diagonal. Oh no, stupid, stupid. I mean, we haven't explored a lot of things. We haven't explored like power-ups, and they're all easy to do. Again, if anyone wants to know about power-ups, at the minute I'm just on a 5% chance every time you destroy a block, it'll split into and spawn another ball. Um, but there's nothing to stop you having other sprites that appear on screen and drop to give you power-ups that you've got to try and hit with your bat. Maybe I'll add that. I don't know. It's up to you. So if you don't want it, I won't bother. Oh, this is going to be a swine. Oh no, that might be good. That might be good. Might be good. Got to get it more straight. You see how the brick's traveling for the entire distance? No, he's not traveling for the entire. That's interesting. Interesting. Anyway, right, I'm off.